Hi everybody, welcome along. Lucas Rogers from the Rogers Property Group. Just thought I'd catch up with you all today to give you a quick roundup of what's happening across the markets and in the economy itself. It's been a strange time over the last couple of years, hasn't it? It really has. We've had everything from virus to floods, both in Queensland and New South Wales. With more floods seem to be coming, and now we're into a war. Well, we are not, but Russia's at war with the Ukraine. So I think every time you pick up the newspaper, there seems to be something else that's happening. I think as people, we need to be very careful about what the media is feeding us and what we're actually taking in. As I said, if you pick up the paper every morning or you watch the news, then there's always some issue coming up, whether it's wars in the Ukraine, whether it's floods, whether it's this, whether it's that. And in reality, how much of this actually affects all of us? Well, very, very little. What's really been the impact of us from the war in the Ukraine? Well, fuel prices have risen, but it's been a bit strange because oil prices really haven't gone up, but yet fuel prices have gone up dramatically. I think that there's a fair bit of profit taking from that, but the government's been very good and they've cut the excise tax down from 44 cents halved it down to 22 cents, so that's dropping the price of fuel for us now. What's been the effect of the coronavirus for a lot of us? Well, me, myself personally, I actually live in Queensland myself. I haven't yet had the virus. I've had 2 injections. I suppose I've got to get my booster done at a later stage, but I've had a few friends that have gotten it. But I myself personally haven't had it. It means that I haven't been overseas for a little while. Traveling's been a little bit less, and it's affected business to a small degree, but that's really been about it. If I get up and read the virus report every day, I could be thinking that everybody in Australia is dying when it's really not. So we need to be very, very careful about what we're reading and what we're actually taking in and what we're feeding our brain. You'd be better off looking at some sort of motivational video, something like that, to actually get you fired up and get along with your day. And this is affecting people's capacity to be able to get into the market as well. I've had people in the last few weeks not looking to invest and putting things on the back burner because they're frightened about the war in the Ukraine, where really what effect is that going to have on us in the long term? Well, not a huge amount. Not a huge amount at all. And you've got to remember that we are humans, we're resilient, and we'll get back to how we were previously very, very quickly. Even with the virus, we're back to how we were 2 to 3 years ago now. Everybody's employed. Employment is the lowest it's been in something like 20 years. It's around about 4% at the moment. And that 4% of people who are unemployed, to be honest, they don't really want to be employed. Us ourselves, we're having trouble getting people to work, everything from people to get on the phones to landscapers to this to that. So, the people that are not working at the moment would likely not want to work. So being human, we are resilient. We do get back on board very quickly and we get out there and we start again. How does that affect investments at the moment? Well, over the last couple of years, when the virus first came out, people thought that the world was going to implode and everybody was very, very nervous. Me, myself as well, I was a bit like that. But within a very short period of time, we realised that, well, it's not really going to have that much of effect on us. Not really that many people are dying in Australia. And some businesses, tourism and so forth, were affected, but many weren't. The government did help a lot. They did put a lot of money out into the system, and that flooded the market with a lot of very, very cheap money, and that helped everything from businesses, employment, and it also helped property as well. The government might have put their foot on the throttle a bit too hard on the helping with the first home buyers. I believe that created just a massive over demand, which in a lot of ways has helped a lot of people get into the market. And if you owned property throughout the last 2 years, pardon me, you've certainly made a lot of money and it's been very, very good. But if you're one of the people that haven't, it's now very, very difficult to get into the market. I think Australia will eventually go a little bit more to a renting society where people less and less own their own home and rent a little bit more. You may you get a lot of clients coming out of Sydney, Melbourne, who just can't afford to buy their own home in Sydney and Melbourne. And so what they're doing is they're what we call now rent vesting. And that means that they're renting in the place that they'd like to live, and that might be the inner suburbs of Sydney or Melbourne, or even Brisbane for that matter, but they're owning and being a landlord of a property, maybe in the outer suburbs, something like that. That's affordable, that other people are happy to pay rent for, and it's making them money. So at least they've got a foothold in the market. It's a great way to go. So I think what's going to happen with Australians is we're going to become a nation, well, not very fast, I think, but eventually we'll become more of a nation of people that rent, and less of a nation of home owners. Because the median house price in Sydney at the moment, in a reasonable suburb, is house we're talking about now is about $1.5 to $1.6 million, and that's out of the grasp for a lot of people. Melbourne is right there, well above $1 million, and so is Canberra at the moment. Those markets, especially Sydney and Melbourne, they're starting to slow down. They have had a huge growth rate. From 2010, Sydney and Melbourne have really been on the growth boil the whole time. In 2017, 2018, those markets slowed down a little bit, but when the market was flooded with very cheap money, those markets started to climb again. You're going to see those markets slow down, which they're doing at the moment. Around Australia, the rest of the nation is not too bad. Canberra's certainly done a big growth spurt, and with a median house price of over $1 million now. Hobart, I think, is now starting to slow down. There's really not a huge driver in Hobart because of the fact that the job growth is not massive there. Brisbane has been a stellar market over the last 18 months, growing by a significant amount, probably around 30% plus. That market is now sitting at around sort of $750,000 as a median house price, and will continue to rise and probably go somewhere near $1 million in this particular cycle. WA is also a good market at the moment. WA is very tightly held. It's undersupplied at the moment, and we can tell that from two indicators. The vacancy rates in WA at the moment are around about 0.5%, so very low, and that's driving yields up as well. Your average yield over there at the moment is very late fours to plus 5%, so a very good place. The one thing that WA has been lacking in recent times is population growth, because the Premier of WA has kept the borders closed for such a long period of time. Now that they're open, that market is going to push as well. Remember this, guys, Australia is not one property market, and it's incorrect for the media and various outlets to be talking about the Australian property market, because there really isn't one. It's made up of a lot of different sub-markets, and they all operate independently. So if you're going to be investing in property, look at different markets. If you're living in Sydney, look somewhere else. If you're looking in Melbourne, then maybe look somewhere else, because you can be a little bit hamstrung if you feel that the market is slowing down, just because your local area is starting to slow down as well. So remember, they all operate independently, and you've got to look at whatever's rising at that particular time to try and invest in. So there's some great markets to be in Australia at the moment, and I'd suggest Brisbane still is a great market, and Perth is a good one. Adelaide is not too bad as well, but I would suggest probably Brisbane and WA are a bit stronger than those, than that, I should say. Yeah, look, if you're interested in investing, give us a call, get stuck into the market, and don't let the media feed you too much negative stuff all the time. Is the war in the Ukraine really going to affect you? Well, that remains to be seen. Fuel prices might go up a little bit, and there might be a bit of a lack of supply of certain goods, but apart from that, I don't think Vladimir Putin's going to be dropping bombs on Australia anytime soon. And in fact, it makes us a very, very safe nation, in fact. So guys, happy investing. We look forward to talking to you soon. Feel free to give us a call at any time. We're always here to help. Take care. Chat soon. Bye then.